today's collectible spot, we are having a look at the Kotobukiya Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Superman 1/10 scale pre-painted figure. Down below you can create an incredible battle scene with the Superman that we're having a look at and the aforementioned Batman that we had a look at in a previous review. This comes to us from the folks over at Kotobukiya. The front of the box features very similar artwork to that of the Batman one that we had a look at, except instead of having the Batman down below, we have the reversed Superman on the other side. Now again, these statues are going to somewhat connect to each other, something I'm going to do in this review, something I didn't do in the other review of Batman. The front open window also gives you a slight glimpse of what the Man of Steel is going to look like without having to take the packaging completely out and take the statue completely out, but of course we're going to do that. This side of the box features Henry Cavill as Superman. Still a very noteworthy Superman. I find he's not written well. Superman's just not written well in the new DC universe. I feel like he needs a little bit of heart, something that Christopher Reeve Superman had, where you actually cared for the character. I care for Henry Cavill's Superman. I just feel like he needs to be written a little bit better. And the back of the package, you've got the Superman poster, unlike the Batman poster we had to look at before, and an idea of what the two statues are going to look like when you put them together. Spot's going to take himself a break, and we're going to get this completely opened up. When we come back, though, we're going to do one of two things. We're going to look at the Superman statue from Kotobukiya, and we're also going to pair it up with the mentioned Batman statue that we looked at in the previous review. There's a lot more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Now that we have Superman out of the package, there's actually a little bit more assembly required for the Man of Steel than when we had a look at the Caped Crusader. He comes with a similar display stand, a little less damaged, I guess, than the Batman display stand, but very equal in color, also made of hollow plastic. You'll see that also there's a big peg hole right there. What's that there for, Spot? We'll get into that in a second. Put that right there. You've got a couple of pieces relative to that. We'll get in that in a second. And then, of course, you get yourself the Superman statue. And I think it turned out very nice. Very, very nice indeed. It's got the new updated colors for the Man of Steel, Henry Cavill's costume from Dawn of Justice. I love the coloring of the cape here. It's a dark, slightly dark, I almost want to say like a blood red. And then you've got darker burgundy colors kind of in the crevices and creases of the cape, very similar to what Batman's was. Let's have a look at his face, and then we'll start doing some combining of things. The face is also good. Obviously with Superman they have to do a little bit more because he's not benefited by having a shrouded face like than Batman. So of course his face has to be a little bit more impressive, and I think it actually turned out pretty good. It doesn't seem to have any articulation, though, in the head, no articulation in the hands, and no articulation in the feet. Batman at least had some posability. Superman, on the other hand, does not have any. Now, going back to the display stand situation. Oh, and also, I love the way that he's affixed to it. It looks like he's lunging away from the object, flying towards perhaps a powerful blow to the Caped Crusader. I think that's really cool. So we're just going to put that to the side just for a slight second, and we'll touch base on these two components. Now you get two of them. They are actually depending on how you display the statue. You have a much larger kind of rubble display, and then you have a little smaller display. Let's say theoretically you want to display Batman, or sorry, I should say Superman on his own. You're going to want to use this component. This one right here, the one that actually has the rubble debris. And here's the difference between the two, you can see. Then you can go ahead and take the Superman, and hopefully you can see it. You see how there's that little triangular cut in it? They'll tell you exactly how you have to line it up with the display stand. And that slides just into place like that. This is if you want to display Superman solely on his own, kind of very in the same vein as the Batman. If you want to display Batman solely on their own, this is the way that you want to accommodate it. You could, I guess, theoretically use this one as well, but according to the instructions, though, this is if you want to display Superman all on his own. I guess to some regards, it still is similar to Batman in the fact that Superman's kind of just doing something. He's lunging towards something that you feel like you need something here, that he can't just be primarily on his own. And that's all the more reason I think Batman, I feel, almost could be a little bit better doing on his own, completely on his own. Superman, you know, it's not like he's necessarily flying. It clearly looks like he's about to hit a shot and swing at something that's here. All the more reason I think you would want to incorporate Batman to this setup here. Reach off camera. Reach off camera. We're going to bring in the Batman here that we've already had a look at. Still doesn't stand, or it doesn't peg in the back the easiest way. And you can bring the two together like this. Now you can see though that it still perfectly still captures Batman fighting Superman. You can even bring like the arm up kind of thing. And you can have the two heroes battling it out. According to the instructions though, what you need to do if you do want to display them together is you're going to want to take Superman off his stand. I guess you could just take the whole bottom compartment completely off. Pull this off, and you're going to want to replace it with the shorter peg. Again, lining it up, you can see that it's almost like a T formation. Line that up in place like that. Then take Superman, put him back onto the stand, and making sure, of course, you line up that as well. There we go. And then revisit the two together. Now, certainly I apologize for that. Spot's camera died. Anyways, what we were talking about. According to the instructions, this is the way that you should pose the two if you have both statues. If you personally ask me, I feel like the quarters between the two heroes are too close together. Just my own matter of speaking. I feel like if you take Batman just out of the way for a second, not that you would display Superman like this because you can't really pose his head. Maybe you could display Superman just on his own like this, but I feel like bringing two statues together, it seems awfully close. Just my own preference. What I probably will do, at least in my own opinion of displaying these, I think I would actually go back to the original setup, taking the longer display peg, lining it up, taking Superman, lining him up once again, like that. I actually would probably accommodate the longer display stand. That's just me. Because I feel like the other way, by having the other setup the way it is, it seems too close, it seems too crowded, and it seems like it's at an angle where Superman would definitely have the upper hand. Whereas I feel here, Batman is preparing himself for Superman flying down, ready to swing, as opposed to they're already kind of in the middle of swinging at one another. I just think this is a better setup. My own personal preference, of course, but certainly let me know down below which setup you prefer. I feel like this just kind of sets a scene better, like there's gonna be a brawl, versus having Superman and Batman so very close together. One good thing about the Kotobukiya pieces as well is that they are fairly inexpensive. The fact that they are using plastic as their material of choice for designing and producing their statues, it keeps the cost down. So essentially you can get yourself a high-end collectible statue at a more affordable price than something that's made out of resin or whatnot. Would I say, you would necessarily have to get both? Well, again, that's just your personal preference. Batman, I feel like possibly could be supported just on his own. Superman, I feel like does lean itself more towards having something here because he's just simply flying up and he's in a pose as if he's going to be swinging down at something. The two side by side, or in this case connected together, I think is just a beautiful looking piece, and Spot's going to be putting that on display. Today's collectible spot, we weren't looking necessarily at Batman because we've already had a look at him. We're having a look at the Kotobukiya. This was the Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice Superman statue. Again, I don't know why my battery died. Certainly stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more collectible spots heading your way. As always, thanks for watching as you always do, I'll see you next time.